WB Games is being sold, and normally I would maybe find, I don't know, a little bit of amusement in the fact that when I tried to talk about this back in 2020, there were a handful of people who got very, very upset, very vehemently saying, no, there's no way that could happen. You shouldn't even speculate about that. It's not going to happen. These are all rumors. Well, it turns out that they were thinking about selling WB Games all along in terms of AT&T's ownership, considering that the company owes quite a bit of money, and WB Games, along with several other of their ventures from WB itself, such as DC Comics, weren't actually making them that much money in the last couple of years. So they got rid of them. That's, it's not surprising at all. This is not an I told you so video. I do want to kind of break down, though, what's going on with it. Part of me is a little satisfied just because, people really came after me when I said this originally, but I'm not happy with what's going on because this is not really a good sign. So be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more content, and hit that bell for notifications because a lot of videos are not showing up for some of our subscribers, and I love having you on each and every one. We are going to be looking at a couple of different websites today because some people really dislike certain websites we look at, but we are going to be looking at both NBCnews.com and a little bit from CosmicBookNews.com as well. When we look at what NBC has said, this was actually originally partially broken by the former Kotaku employee, Stephen Totilo. Maybe it's Totillo. I don't really care. I don't really respect or like Kotaku at all, but he actually reported on this earlier today, talking about how WB Games is getting broken up somehow due to AT&T's Warner Media Discovery sale/merger. Some of the gaming arm will stay AT&T, and some will go with the new company, representative tells Axios' Sarah Fisher. There is no further info. WB Games lists 11 studios, games for all kinds of IP and devices. Julia Alexander pitched in and also said that the sale includes some of Warner Bros. Interactive/WB Games, but not all of it, and it does include DC Comics. Discovery, through the new venture, now effectively co-owns DC Comics with WB. Rooster Teeth is part of the sale as well, but let's be honest, Rooster Teeth lost most of their good people in the last few years, either, I should say funny people, either to scandals and bad behavior or just flat out leaving the company to go on to other ventures. We can look at certain groups like Funhouse and see that most of the people who used to be there just aren't there anymore. They've gone on to their own things, and that's not an insult to who is there. It's just what happens with these things. So Rooster Teeth has changed a lot as well. They're essentially inheriting different versions of these companies than we've been seeing for the last few years, just because that is the nature of the beast in all of these areas of content creation and development. Now, it's interesting to me what's going to be happening with this as well, because we actually don't have a lot of information on it. We do know that under the terms of the agreement, which is structured as an all-stock reverse Morris Trust transaction, AT&T would receive $43 billion, which is subject to adjustment, in a combination of cash, debt securities, and Warner Media's retention of certain debt, and AT&T shareholders would receive stock representing 71% of the new company. Discovery shareholders would own 29% of the new company. The boards of directors of both AT&T and Discovery have approved the transaction. So this is not something that is a rumor. This is not something that is maybe happening. This is happening. The only hurdle standing in the way, which some people have reported on, is the U.S. government, really. The U.S. government runs antitrust laws and all kinds of other stuff to prevent massive mergers that could control the entertainment industry. I believe it took about 2 years for AT&T to actually purchase Warner Media originally. It was a very long process. AT&T actually wants to focus on, I guess, internet and telecommunications, but I should say that the new Discovery/Warner company wants to focus on streaming like HBO Max and Discovery Plus, things like that, which could be a bad sign for the video game branches and also the movie branches as well, but that's yet to be determined. What kind of confuses me on it, and pretty much everyone else because we don't have all the info, is how this will actually affect the gaming branch, because we do know that some of it is going to be owned by AT&T, some of it is going to be owned by the new Discovery Warner company merger, and how that will affect the IP that is owned is anyone's guess. Now, games that are in development already deeply, things like Gotham Knights, right? My stomach just growled very loud. Gotham Knights, things like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Personally, I don't think you have to be too worried about those things, just my opinion, considering how deep in development they are, considering all the cost that was already eaten for these things, and how we've seen actual gameplay footage of something like Gotham Knights. There's really no way that's not still going to come out. I don't really think that that is an issue with all of this, even with joint hands owning certain parts of the gaming divisions. I don't think that that's something you really need to worry about. What this is a bit concerning for is the future of certain aspects of Warner. For example, what will Discovery do with some of the IPs that Warner, I guess, ignored? I shouldn't even say Warner, but AT&T owned Warner. And also what will happen with DC Comics, considering that the comic book industry doesn't make nearly the amount of money that it used to, something that we've talked about quite a bit on this channel, actually. Despite, I think, there actually being some very good comics coming out in the last few years, including the Doomsday Clock, I guess, crossover event in DC Comics. I thought that was handled very, very well by Jeff Johns and others. These comics still don't make what they used to, and there has always been a question, I would say, since the AT&T purchase of if they're worth making. And I think looking at the gaming division, that's also what is going to be asked here, right? What is worth making going forward? The projects that are already almost done, like I said, the cost is out there for those, right? But things that have yet to be pitched, what will happen to them? I know some people are concerned about the Batman Arkham series. And, you know, not to be a killjoy, but I personally think with the announcement of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League taking place in the Arkham universe, and also the announcement of Gotham Knights being its own thing, it seems to me like the proper Arkham franchise is dead for now anyway. Even if this didn't happen, I highly doubt we'd see another game in the next 4 years, you know, at least, if at all, considering that they passed on multiple different pitches, reportedly, including one that I covered on this channel, a Damian Wayne Batman Arkham game that would have taken place years after Arkham Knight and continued the mantle of Batman, passed it down and worked with these villains and done new things with them going forward. They passed on that as well, even when this was back in just a AT&T/Warner hands type scenario. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting because I don't think many people know what's going to go on, frankly. And I think it's okay to admit that. Even someone like Jason Kilar, the current CEO of Warner Media, it was reported by NBC, was not even informed about the deal until a few days ago, and was even given the go-ahead from AT&T to proceed with a Wall Street Journal profile about his leadership of the company. Two people with knowledge of the matter said. Kilar is now working to negotiate his exit, one person familiar with his plans said. So he's going to be leaving as the CEO of Warner Media when this happens, essentially, but this could take a couple years to actually go into effect. We don't really know what is going to happen with this, what the U.S. government will do. Considering that they did approve the AT&T purchase of Warner Media in the past, which was massive, the government will probably just sit on its hands and allow this anyway, because that's what they do. They don't really do much anymore with antitrust laws. We can see that because, in my opinion, Disney owns everything. You can see like all these companies own pretty much everything. Look up a list of what Disney owns. Look up a list of like what Nabisco owns. Some of these, huge companies. They own like everything in their genre or area of the market. So I highly doubt that this will be contested, but we will have to see. It was also reported by Cosmic Book News, actually, that the agreement united two entertainment leaders with complementary content strengths and positions, the new company to be one of the leading global direct-to-consumer streaming platforms. It will support the fantastic growth and international launch of HBO Max with Discovery's global footprint and create efficiencies which can be reinvested in producing more great content to give consumers what they want. So they talk more and more about that. The thing is, it seems like they're very focused on streaming. This is a problem with the entertainment industry right now, in my opinion, is I think a lot of people are most focused on streaming and monetization. They are companies. And I think that the more that the consumer just kind of hands over money for very little effort, whether that be bad streaming platforms that don't give you that much, or microtransaction fueled video games, where you get as little as possible and they nickel and dime everything. we'll continue to see this. So this is not surprising to me at all. At the end of the day, we don't completely know what is going to happen with WB Games itself. I will say for the third and final time, I believe, that I don't think you should have to worry about the things that are deep in development. The cost has been paid for those. It would be very silly to shut them down. However, not to cause any panic, but the same could have been said for projects like Star Wars 1313, which were reportedly about 95% done, I believe, when Disney purchased LucasArts and Lucasfilm and all of the Star Wars properties and then canned it. So we never really know what will fully happen. I'm not too concerned about these games. However, what I am concerned about, I guess a little more, is the future of these franchises. What will happen? Will these things be even more monetized? Will they be less so because it's not AT&T anymore who owns it? I don't know. And what will happen in the comic book industry? I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more content. Let me know what you think. Again, a lot of this is going to be guesswork from me and from you until we have more information, but this is an officially announced thing that is happening, whether people like it or not. Have a fantastic day. Be sure to check out the links in the description down below. We have an official Etsy shop where we've made a wide variety of channel merch, bracelets, necklaces, stuff like that for either yourself. I've made some male/unisex ones, or, a family member in your life. We appreciate you very much. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.